Well, you might be asking yourself, oh no, what is he going to do today? Why has he got a load of cotton wool balls here? And I'm going to share that with you right now. I'm going to try and make some clouds. Now, I've tried different methods of making clouds many times, and some have been successful and some haven't, but I'm going to try this method. First thing I'm going to do is cut these cotton wool balls up to really small, fine little bits of cotton and fluff them up. And I'm popping them in this little pot so they don't go everywhere, because I know what they're like. I'm likely to get them to go everywhere. And now I've got that one cut up, what I'm going to do is this one, I'm going to cut just into 3, like that. And then I'm going to fluff this one. So taking little fluffy bits out of it like this. Fluff it right up. Now I'm going to try 2 different ways to do this. And I also want to have some rain coming from these clouds as well. So we're going to make some rain. We're going to put this to one side, and now we're going to do our rain. So all I need to do now is make sure I'm working on a nice clean silicone mat. So what I'm going to do is give this a bit of a wipe over. I found these recently and they are brilliant. To be able to make the rain, what we're going to use is some of this clear thread. Now I use this quite a lot for different things. So we won't need long strips of this, because what we're going to do is just connect it to the cloud once we make the clouds, and they're going to be quite easy to make. I'll make longer ones than I need to start with, because I can always cut them down once they're finished. Now you're going to want to take your UV resin. I'm using the J Diction standard UV resin here. Now you could use it straight out of this bottle, but I'm going to put it into a needle nose bottle. And then what I need to do is squeeze this in a thin bead across your line here. Unfortunately, I don't have a very steady hand, as you can see. So as a result, I get quite a jagged line because I do have a tremor. And then cure that up. So now it's time to build my little clouds, and I'm going to do that in sections as well. What I'm going to do is take a bit like this, and then with the low viscosity one again, pop a bit of that in there. Give that a good mix round to make sure it's all fully covered in the UV resin. And it's important that it gets all fully covered, because I want it to be able to really cure up and not trap any bubbles. And I just thought I want to add some white to this as well, because sometimes the cotton can just go too translucent. So I'm just going to have a little bit here as well with some drops of translucent white in, give it that extra color. But I'm not going to use all that all at once. What I'm going to use is a mixture of the 2. So soak it in, get my cotton nice and soaked, so I'm sure it's all soaked. And I'm going to bring that onto my mat, make my bottom of my cloud like that. Now, its clouds aren't all one thickness, and they are different shapes as they go in up. So that is what I'm going to try and do with this base bit. So there we go. So there's that bit. And now I'm going to cure that up. While that's curing, I can be mixing up my next bit as well. Now that's nice and hard, and it's surprising how well it does penetrate through this. What I'm going to do is add my next bit. But obviously I want to add this bit so it starts to look more like a little cloud. And then I can cure that up while I'm mixing up the next bit. And then I'll keep building my cloud up like that until it's fully cured and ready. The little cloud is finished now, or it's nice and cured. So what I need to do is just take it off the mat and get rid of any of these little bits that I don't want on there, because I don't want where it's been sitting on the mat, any of those. So I'm just going to cut those frayy bits off. There we go. And now clean up my mat with my newly discovered wipes. Look how lovely and clean that is. And I keep one now like this, and it keeps damp for quite a while, and then I'll use them several times during a little project. It's got rid of all that. Lovely. So that's got quite a flat bottom. Now we want it to have a bit of a flat bottom, but we don't want it to be quite as flat as that. It's lovely and hard. So what I'm going to do is just run a little bit of UV resin on this now. But I'm not putting any white or anything in this bit. I'm just sticking a few bits of this cotton to it just to soften off that bottom, so it's not quite as flat as that. And there's no reason why I didn't mix this up first. Just thought I would do it like this. Probably would have been better mixed up first, because that way I could have guaranteed everything was covered. Now all I'm doing is spreading that out across its bottom, but I don't want to smooth it out because that would then make it look exactly how it was before. So I'm just going to push a few dimples into it like that. There we go. And then cure that up the same way. And that didn't take long at all to do. But if you don't want to be messing about building it up in layers and doing it like that, then you can use just normal epoxy. Now I'm going to work on this little bit of matte here so I can move it to one side, but just work on your normal matte if you want to. And all I'm going to be using for this is the 4-hour demold, again by J Diction, so I can demold it really quickly. So to make it out of epoxy, I do it differently. What I do is I put all my cloud in at once and make the whole cloud at once. So I've got epoxy in there and I'm just giving that a bit of a coating. This takes less time to start with, but obviously you've got to wait for your epoxy to cure. And you can stick a bit of colour in this as well if you want to. And it doesn't matter if it's an opaque colour or a translucent colour on this one. Because you're using epoxy, then it's going to cure up anyway. And if that's not enough, you can just literally mix up more. Then I pop it on my silicone mat like that. And then I shape it into my cloud as I want it. Smoothing some of these bits out as well. So that'll be my cloud now for the epoxy one. And then what I'll do is I'll leave that to cure overnight. And the last thing I need to do with this one, which is the UV resin one, is I want to give it a coat of clear UV resin all the way over to ensure that when it's actually finished, that there is nowhere that bubbles can trap or anything like that. And I'm using the low viscosity one here. And all I'm going to do is rub that in all the way around, making sure I've got every little gap or anything filled where that cotton is. And then all I have to do is cure that up. These clouds are all fully cured now, and I really like the shape of those ones. They're very different shapes. So what I thought I'd do is make two with exactly the same molds, and then we can see which method looks best. The next thing we need to do is to attach these in here once I've attached the raindrops to them, and that's going to be fairly simple to do. What I'm going to be using for this is the low viscosity resin. If you've only got one UV resin, then you can use just that one, but I like to have the range. It really does make a difference. I've got a micro brush here, taking the end off, so I've got that little bit there. And then all I'm going to do is slowly build up these raindrops on there like that. So that's on there nice and firm, and then once I've done the rest, so I'll show you how to place it in the mold to stop it moving around. So I've finished putting these on, and the other ones, they're just curing up. What I need to do is suspend this in the mold. So what I'm going to use is a clear, without any raindrops on it, piece of UV resin that I've done on the cord in exactly the same way as I did those other raindrops. Then glue that onto the cloud using UV resin, and hopefully all this UV resin that I've used that's clear will just disappear once I pour the main resin in. You might get a few bits where there's maybe a couple of bubbles or something in it or whatever, but other than that it should just disappear in the resin. So this one I've already done, and now what I need to do is stick that to here, and again I'm going to use some UV resin for that, and then pop that in it like that. It's got really nice covering, and then cure that up. And then that should suspend like that, which is going to suspend in there. And then if I want to bring that up slightly, I can. All I have to do is put another stick there and another stick there while that's curing. I'm going to be using the T-Expert 2:1 deep pour resin for these because they're quite deep moulds in a small space, and I don't want this to flash cure because I think if it flash cures it's going to spoil any hope I've got of it turning out looking nice. And this is a brilliant deep pour resin. I love it. I use it awful lot. And it does say on here that you can demold after about 24 hours. I find that normally 24 to 36 you can demold it, but it isn't fully cured for at least another 48 hours. So don't, try and use it straight away. What I'm going to do is pour some in the bottom first. And now what I can do is dip that in, bring it out and dip it in again. Then I can put my little supports in because this one just needed to be raised up a little bit more, and now I can fill it right up slowly. I don't want to add any more bubbles to it. Now this is going to want to rise after this. I want to leave a gap as well at the bottom bit here, because I'm probably going to put a little bit of green on that. Yeah, that'll do lovely. But this is going to want to rise. All I'm going to do is put a little weight on that to stop that rising. Do exactly the same thing with the other one, and then leave them to cure up, and then I'll show you what they look like, and hopefully it's worked. Fingers crossed for me, people. These have been curing now for about 18 hours, and what I'm going to do now is a little effect that I found totally by accident one day. So these are still a little bit soft at the moment, and as this is a deep pour resin, it goes to like a thick gel state. So all I'm doing here is pushing into this mold in a few places, okay, because it's still quite soft. And now I'm going to put it in my pressure pot, and you'll see it gives a really great little effect at the end. If you've not got a pressure pot, then you don't have to use this step. It's absolutely fine. I don't use my pressure pot very often at all, but I do like it for this technique. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 60 psi for about another 24 hours, and then I'll show you what brilliant little effect it gives. Well, these have all cured up now really well, and all I did was use a pair of scissors to snip that extra bit there that was sitting in that area that was holding this bit up. This is the effect that you get when you do that. For wherever you've kind of pushed in, that is where you'll get like a bubble, because the pressure pot obviously does something to it. I don't know what the science is behind it. I wish I'd put a few more in, because I really like them. And the thing is, they're so smooth and lovely. Look, that's where I pushed that corner and there, and they give really beautiful smooth effects. And you never get a bubble like that sort of smooth and that sort of shape any other way, I don't think. I love that cloud. I think that one's come out lovely. That's the one I made with the epoxy resin. It has got a few bubbles on it. I should have sealed it first before I put it in. And the actual rain has come out really well on that as well. I think the rain's come out nice on that. This one, like I said, it did slot over, so it kind of looks a bit like a jellyfish. But the cloud's not too bad. I quite like the cloud. I should have had a bit of thicker thing coming through, but look at that lovely shape. I love that shape. It's so tactile. I was going to put a green base on the bottom of these, but actually I quite like them as they are. So let's have a look what they look like lit up. I think that one's worked out really well, the cloud. It lights up lovely, and you can see the rain in there as well. And I do enjoy seeing those little extra little dimples in it. It just gives it something nice to kind of refract the light. Let's have a look at this one. And like I said, that one does look like a wonky jellyfish. But overall, the cloud effect works really well, and I do like the way that those pieces have come out. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'd really be interested to know how you make your clouds. And if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more of my experiments and how to do things, then check out this video that's coming up next. I think you'll love that. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and boot that like button. It helps my videos to get out there. And all the links for everything are in the description below. Take care. Enjoy your resin. Bye.